Business Brain, episode 624 for Wednesday, February 19th. That's National Prevent Plagiarism Day and our 10th anniversary of releasing our first episode. Woohoo, 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take some ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to tune our business brains so that we each have better tools and are therefore better equipped to keep on living those charmed lives that we value so highly. Shopify.com/businessbrain is our sponsor. That's where you go to get a $1 per month trial period. We'll talk more about all of that in a little bit. For now, here, celebrating in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
I'm celebrating out here in California, Dave.
Amazing.
Shannon Jean, congratulations on 10 years of recording this podcast. That's amazing.
It is. Our bullheaded persistence has led to consistency and 10 years in the rearview mirror.
That brings up a good point. Like, that consistency is really hard. And I don't say that just to like, we did it and it's great. But like I today we're recording this on a Monday and we record both episodes here at Mondays now. And like this morning has just been one barrier to another, after another.
Same.
Trying to get things going. And it's just like, and then I had to run down and solve a problem, computer, a issue at the house. It's like, my gosh.
I had to snow blow 3 times, and that's the second time was because our plow guy effed us.
Nice.
Sort of. And then showed up right after I did it the second time so I could get my car out, which was fun. And we were getting our car out to drive to the vet to most likely. And then, of course, we wound up, putting our dog down today, which sucks.
That's the worst. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And thank you. And it sucks. It is the greatest. It is the greatest gift that we get to give to our pets, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah,
at the right time.
At
obviously.
the right time. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But I did that, and then it's like, well, I could certainly text Shannon and like punt on the day. And here we are.
Dude.
It's that consistency.
I would say we were starting to talk. I said, hey, let's talk about lessons over the 10 years. And that is the lesson for me, is consistency. And also, I feel like this business, because it is a business, it's one of the most challenging for me to get feedback, to get empirical feedback of success, right? What are the indicators? Like, I know if my business is shipping products, how many products a day do I ship?
Yep.
What's my revenue look like? I know that if I'm trying to connect with people online, what's my engagement like? What's my follower ratio? All that kind of stuff, right? Because and this show, we do have that revenue number, which I like, which is great, but it's
not a 1-to-1.
No, it's not. It's challenging, right. And so that consistency, and I don't know that if I was recording this show by myself, if I ever would have made it.
Same.
I'm going to be really honest here.
Same. Totally. You have to. I'm essentially doing a show by myself now, sort of, with GigGab.
Yeah.
However, every episode, generally, there are occasional episodes that I do on my own, but every episode I have a guest, which means that prior to the day of release, it could be 2 weeks prior, it could be 2 hours prior, but prior to the day of release, I have an appointment with someone else that if I make that appointment, and all the technology gods smile upon me, he says as he checks to make sure it's recording, then I have an episode to release, right? Like, and I have to look someone else straight in the face, or virtually, and say, I am canceling this, just like I would have had to do that with you today. Which I didn't. I mean, it crossed my mind, but not really. Because it's like, well, then when am I going to?
Yes.
Then when am I going to do it?
It's not like you can stop. You have to. Okay, now how do I fit it into my?
But that, right? I think that is the key to consistency. Not necessarily just the act of doing it, but the act of knowing it will be done.
Yes.
And you
Can't
need
stop.
to be part of it.
Yes.
That's the key. And this did not dawn on me until we started talking here, Shannon, but on the 10th anniversary of Mac Geek Gab, which would have been in June of 2015, I was invited to speak in Boston. It just so happened that day was a Saturday. I was invited to speak in Boston at a podcast, like whatever, meetup, conference, whatever you want to call it. And so I did 10 lessons learned from 10 years of podcasting.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I had forgotten about this. And this is in no particular order. Listen to your own show.
Oh, I have a hard time with that one. But yes, you're right.
I know. I know I'm right. I do this regularly, but not consistently.
I actually enjoyed one of the best times I ever had. I was driving. This is just a little segue. I was driving to go to the duck club to hunt, and I turned on our show, and I turned the speed down to half volume.
Half speed?
Half speed.
Oh.
And it sounded really funny. And it was, and I listened, and it sounded like we were stoned out of our mind.
I bet.
And I listened, and I was like, this is really good. Because everybody always talked about, oh, do it at 1.4 or whatever, 1.2 to get things done quick. And, and I, like I said, I have listened to the show a lot. But that episode, I was like, it was like, Dave was like, wow, man. It was so great.
That's awesome.
I laughed my ass off in the car, and I maybe even texted you at the time. This was
I think I remember this. Yeah,
how many years ago I did it, but yeah, listening to your own show is good. I have the same problem with it as watching myself record here on the live stream.
Yeah.
I don't. It's like, well, whatever. And sometimes I'm just like, well, I just put something over it. I don't really care. Now I'm used to it. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't
but you just get used to it. And I agree. You should listen to your own stuff.
Listen, I'm gonna read through all of these, and we can pick apart any of them. We can come back to any that we want. So listen to your own shows. Number 1, schedules matter. Number 2, know your roles. Number 3, number 4 is communicate with your co-hosts and guests. Learn how to interact with each other and notify each other. The systems get some of that down. Sound quality matters. It does. One that I didn't put in there, but actually comes back around, was respect your audience. But that was not number 6. Number 6 was refine your advertising reads, which of course we've done.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you folks. Well, I'll circle back. But we use ChatGPT to write our ad scripts. Master your own domain. This is something we did here from day one, and that is do not host your podcast or your feed on a domain that you do not own. If your feed is even, and I love the folks at Libsyn, but if you are letting Libsyn manage your feed, if something happens to Libsyn, something happens to your show.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, I love them. They're a great example. They're a terrible example because I don't want to tell people to move away. You shouldn't move your hosting away from them necessarily. Just let them generate your feed, but host it at your domain.
Yeah, I agree.
Another thing that I did not put in there was 2 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, gosh.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Number 8 was shout from the rooftops. Tell everyone about your show. It's not natural for most of us to be predisposed to, talking into a microphone, let alone talking about ourselves, talking into a microphone.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But you got to, and this is one I need to remind myself of all the time. And then number 9 was love the haters. If somebody doesn't like your show and tells you they don't like your show, that's flattering.
Yeah, that's good feedback.
Yeah. And then, of course, because it was 10 years of Mac Geek Gab, lesson number 10 was don't get caught, because that's our catchphrase over there. We talk about the charmed life here.
Nice.
Over there, it's don't get caught. But don't get caught in a rut. Reinvent yourself and your show as often as you want to.
I love it.
Stay with the times. So
yeah, we've done that here. We've changed the name.
Absolutely.
We've changed the format. We've changed over and over and over and over and over. And it keeps it engaging for us, which is really important. I would add one thing to that list that for me is that to shut up, to be quiet. I had a hard time in the beginning being quiet, especially when even when we had guests, I would want to interject and talk because it, like in a conversation, you're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But here, I need to just close my mouth, and I think I've gotten much better at it, and just listening.
I think you have too. I think I have too, but I fail at it all the time.
Oh, so do I. Of course. Yeah. But I would add that, and that is definitely a learned skill, not feeling the urge to fill silence.
Silence is okay.
Yeah. And it, especially if you're making a point, or you have a guest on that's making a point, that kind of thing, or your co-host is making a point. So, but yeah, it's definitely the consistency and the grind. And I would say it's helped me in all my other business ventures as well, because I've understand better, this show has a deep foundation of value. If somebody were to go data mine the 623 episodes we already have recorded, and I would love to do that.
Yeah, I want to be the ones to do that, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I would love to have, the AI do it for us and create a, this massive volume of value. It's amazing. And it's, like I said, it's helped me tremendously in all other aspects.
All right, folks, if you're grinding to build your business, you need our sponsor, Shopify, in your corner. I use Shopify for my other businesses and one of my other podcasts, and candidly, it's the MVP of selling online. I'm talking seamless setup, built-in payment processing, and the kind of automation that lets you focus on growing, not just managing. It doesn't matter if you're selling merch, memberships, or a revolutionary new product. Shopify handles it all, from checkout to shipping, with the best conversion tools in the game. And Shop Pay, it's like a secret weapon, turning Windows shoppers into paying customers up to 50% more often. That means more ka-ching moments. You got that right. If Shopify could do my taxes, I'd probably let it. But for now, it just runs my businesses flawlessly. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that I use. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/businessbrain. All lowercase. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. Shannon, I know you want to talk about reviews. You have some things to talk about.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm going to do, though, is talk about the reviews that came in for our show in the last week.
Nice.
Because we got 2 of them.
I love that.
Which is double what I think we've ever gotten in any other week. So
reviews are tough
to get.
It's tough to get folks to stop for 25 or 28 seconds and leave a review.
Yeah. So well, that was weird. Remember, if your review is read on the show, which there are about to be 2, send us an email to feedback@businessbrain.show to let us know that your review was read on the show. We don't get information about your email address or anything like that, but we want to enter you into a contest for a MacBook this year. So the first one comes from Derek Kolstad in the United States. 5 stars, smart and funny. One of the best business podcasts. Both hosts are super funny, relatable, and insightful with business. Glad I discovered this gem.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is.
Thank
the
you,
second
sir.
one, go ahead. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Derek. The second one comes from Greg Church, PhD, also in the United States. 5 stars, must listen for business owners. This podcast is a must listen for every small business owner. It helps provide business therapy to overcome challenges and help motivate us to improve. I like the variety of topics that are covered and look forward to listening twice per week. As a listener, you feel like you get to know the hosts, Shannon and Dave, personally, and I appreciate their laid-back, informal conversations. I like the occasional guest and appreciate the responsiveness to feedback. I look forward to listening for many years to come. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Greg Church, PhD.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
Very much. That's awesome.
Amazing.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, make sure you both of you guys email feedback@businessbrain.show so we can get you in the running for that MacBook. That's great.
And everybody else, make sure to visit businessbrain.show/review. That is where you can go to review the show. If you have reviewed the show in the past but want to be part of this competition, you can go and update your review if it's more than 6 months old, and it will be treated as a new one, and we will get notifications and all of those things. So you get to double dip. In fact, if you haven't reviewed the show, there is still time to be able to do that twice this year and get yourself 2 tickets on the list.
And I guarantee you this will be the odds of winning.
Oh, it's the odds
are going to be great. Yeah,
one in what, maybe 100 at this point is what it's on track to be.
Let's say 1 in 100. Yeah, so that's pretty darn good.
It's pretty good. But I would like to get 200 reviews this year.
I would like to get 200 as well.
So maybe you could be one of 200 folks.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Love it.
That is a good idea. But Dave, okay, so speaking of reviews, you can't really see this card, but I have posted it on X if you go to @Shannon Jean. We'll put the link in the show notes as well.
Sure.
But I had well, let me set this up. I'm a big fan of home warranties. Okay. Lots of people hate them. I love them. My wife is really good at managing it. She manages our real estate, and we have warranties on all of our vacation rentals and our personal house. It's fantastic. Yes,
we're getting into I believe Lisa and I are getting into the vacation rental business. So there might be some episodes where I pick your brain on things, and this reminds me that you need to be a resource for that. Anyway,
so there's pros and cons with everything else, but in the overall scheme of things, we are way up on the cost and everything of having a home warranty at each of these houses.
Great.
So at my house where I live, we had our washing machine died. Very common. Yep. And guys came out and said, I don't think it's repairable. I said, well, whatever. Okay. So turns it into the home warranty place. They come out. We're going to give you a replacement. If you approve this replacement, it's okay. It was a little different than the model we had, but okay, no problem. Fine. Set it up through Lowe's, and Lowe's delivered it. They would have delivered it the next day, which was amazing. Wow. I was impressed.
Lowe's is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. And so we couldn't do it, so they came out on Monday. They do the setup. I live on a very, very steep driveway up on top of the hill.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to shovel snow on that.
No, thanks for no snow. But deliveries are always an issue here. These guys had to manually bring this washing machine up my driveway because they could not get the giant honking truck up the steep driveway. It won't come. When you go up like this, it grinds or anything. So no matter how many times you tell them to bring the small truck, they never do it. So these guys hand truck this thing up my driveway and do the install, take this thing back down the driveway, everything. Really great. Tipped them really well because they literally busted their back coming up the hill. They hand me this card and says, hey, here it is on the live stream. You can see it. Give the delivery team a 10, it says. And on one side, there's a rectangle that says, to us, these are a 0. And the numbers 0 through 8. It says, to us, these are a 0. And on the right of that, there's a small square box that says positive 9 or 10. And 2 things. I immediately went and gave the guys a 10 because they did a great job. And,
of course, which you probably would have anyway.
Anyway.
You didn't need to be led down this path.
Yes. And I get the whole idea that, I really like the customer service card or thing. On one side, it says, hey, if you had a positive experience, you're happy, go here, leave a review. And on the other side, it shows us, if you're not happy, go here. And it takes you right to their customer service place, right? Which I thought that's clever. And I like that. This thing, I was this is the world we live in where anything below a 9, or let's just say anything below 5 stars, like if you're a super host on Airbnb or whatever, anything below 5 stars, failure.
Uber ratings, all of it, 5 stars. Podcast ratings, definitely. Anything less than 5 stars, folks.
And that's crazy. And that is crazy.
It is I've watched this happen. I remember at Mac Observer when we were doing reviews, it and we watched it happen to ourselves. We had a 5-star rating, and suddenly we were like, well, why would we bother to put, to waste an article slot? Like, we had a fixed number of articles that we could write as a staff, like all those things. Why would we waste an article slot on something that's not a 5? I was like, oh, that's interesting. So now like, and I joked in that time, and I joked about it today too, that, the value of each number on the scale is not equal, right? Right. Which is what you're saying. Like, we've gone from a linear scale where it gets from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to it's logarithmic, right? Where it's exponential. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then suddenly it sharpens up and goes 4 and 5, and no one cares about anything that's 1, 2, or 3. And I get it, because we're all reviewing things with this idea in mind.
Yeah.
And at Mac Observer, we rewrote our reviews scale to kind of get away from this. We wrote our own levels of things, and so it wasn't.
Smart.
It's because we wanted to be able to review things that were amazing, but also things that were like functional pieces of gear or software that's good. Like a 3. There's software that I use that I wouldn't give a 5 to, but I would give. It is like Text Expander, right? Yes. Great piece of software. I rely on that functionality So the functionality of it, I would give a 5. It is installed on every computer I have, and I don't want to live in a world without it. But there's things I would fix about it. So I would say it's like a 3.5. Yeah. Like, it's not great. It's a little quirky sometimes, but I don't want to not run it. Like, but if I tell people, if I post it on, we don't have the site anymore, but if I said, that's a 3, people would be like, oh, Dave says it's a 3, don't buy it. Wait, that's not what I meant.
Yes, I use Grammarly. I love it. Like you, I don't know that I would want to ever live without it. It freed me from worrying about issues of writing, but there's things about it that drive me nuts. I would not give it a 5-star or a 10 or whatever.
Right, or whatever, scale. Right. It's not going to get the top mark.
Yeah, this is pros and cons. That makes the review better, because if, as somebody who's looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, it's not perfect. It's got these things which they love, and these things are little things that you can be prepared to feel, oh, okay, it's going to have this thing, whatever.
It's going to have these quirks, but it's worth it anyway.
Yes.
Because nothing, very, very few things should rate a 5.
Yes. Correct. And
in fact, when we were doing the 5, I haven't thought about this in a long time. When we were doing the 5-star system at TMO, if you wanted to rate something a 5, you needed to convince a majority of the staff to agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only way we would give a 5.
It's perfection. It's perfection.
That's the thing. If you're doing 100 reviews of the year over the course of a year, and 50% of them are 5s, what worth is that scale?
It's not.
And I tell you what the scale is worth. It's worth 0.
Yeah, that's it. It's like grade inflation if you have kids. And you're like, oh, I want to go to that school because every kid gets A's. Well, there's a reason why every kid gets A's, is because they're in business, basically, and they want to attract more students.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. It's like, well, if every review has to be perfect, what happens is people are like, well, I'm just not going to leave a review.
Right.
And then you don't get that good feedback. And it's, like, I think Amazon has done a good job. At least you look at it. It's like, oh, 3.5 stars. What is it? Or 4 stars. Okay, that's interesting. So at least you still drill down and look at it. Now, but if you're a small business owner selling somewhere or in service somewhere, if you're getting started and you get a 3 or even a 4-star review, it's problematic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, I know.
So I'd love to know, how do you do it with your business? You're getting Google reviews. Are you asking for 5 stars? How do you do it? How do you figure it out? I mean, I want the review. Obviously, I want the 5 stars, but how do you work it? Feedback at businessbrain.show. I'd love to hear.
And how do we fix this? Can we fix this? There is a problem here.
I agree.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe we have 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. And then we just get get rid of the 5 point and we just do
6 stars.
Now
clearly that's the answer.
Add another star. Feedback at businessbrain.show. Come up with a better idea than us, or maybe it just needs to be an additional idea. We'll talk about that Friday. Have a good week. Until then, we'll see you. Keep living that charmed life.